the wind, maybe I'll step inside the vehicle. But I can see that there's rain coming down out there. Definite, you can see it coming down from that cloud area, that structure, that core, rain there. There's a gap there, and I was hoping that the sunshine might spill through. Sure, Janine, you can definitely join in. Hang on. Hang on, Dee. I'm trying to get this so I can get you in here. Oh, just a second. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of crackling out there, as if trees are coming down somewhere. Janine, I'm trying to bring you in. Are you on HAPS? Okay, Janine, that's why I cannot bring you in. You're on Periscope and I'm on HAPS. That's the reason I cannot bring you in. If you leave and come back on HAPS, I'll be able to bring you in. I'm going to do something so you can hear me better. Get out of the wind here so you guys can hear me. I'll bring the window down. But Janine, if you want to get on HAPS, I can bring you in. All right. Better. I know you're Periscope. I can, but I cannot yet. You could come in. And I'm afraid I can't do that when you're on Periscope. You got to join me. Be on HAPS. Okay, so Doreen is sharing. She's in Linwood. It's seriously windy and rainy in Linwood. Hailstorm just passed through. Be careful out there. All right, very good. Thank you for that, Doreen. So what I was trying to say earlier, first of all, look at that rain that's out there. You could just see it. And out there, by the way, in the distance beyond our view, is Whidbey Island. We were looking at Whidbey Island from Mukilteo in my streams earlier today. I would say Whidbey Island's probably anywhere from 10 to 15 miles from here as the crow flies. But what I wanted to share is about 20 minutes ago, at Whidbey, Tom, our friend Tom, who's so often with us on our live streams, shared that it was really hitting the fan in Whidbey Island. He had lost power, there was intense hail coming down, and it was extremely windy. So I thought, well, I'll come out this way, because oftentimes at sunset, there's a low, right as the sun's going down, it can sneak sunshine underneath the cloud and spill out this way. That is not happening, but we're still getting a show. Let's see. Oh, no power. Okay. Tom says no power. Kit says much better. Okay. So off in this direction, it's kind of bright on the phone. There's actually some red in there. If I was out at Mukilteo, I could look towards the south a little bit, southwest, and we would see some really good color right now, but we're not seeing that from this vantage point. But we see hints of it, and we can see what's also going on in the distance there. And there is some major rain that's coming down right now. Tom is joining us on HAPS. Hey, Tom, I'm going to try and invite you again. I know you couldn't find it, but just in case you can. My SUV, I'm in a Chevy Tahoe, and it's shaking. So let me invite Tom, and he can tell us what's going on Whidbey if he can figure out how to join us. Okay, Tom. Okay, and Janine is here. I'll bring in Janine too. see, Janine, it's not bringing you putting in. Maybe it's the way I spelled it here. I would put in real estate. No. I think there are trees coming down in this area because I keep hearing this crunching. No, Janine, it doesn't want to find you that way, so spell your name out. So I put in Janine Sadola. Nothing comes up in that, Janine. This is frustrating. So much easier to bring it on Periscope.
No idea.
And this will be at Janine. We'll try that. I'll do my last try.
No idea.
Sorry, Janine, I cannot bring you in. And it looks like maybe I'm hearing somebody. Tom, you're not there, are you?
I'm trying.
I'm hearing somebody.
Hello.
Hey, Tom Whitby. Tom, I'm hearing you, buddy. How you doing?
I'm okay. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's all right. We can hear you. Why don't you describe, if you could, please, conditions on Whidbey Island the last 30 minutes and now?
Very strange, because about a half an hour ago, the sun was out and it was beautiful. In fact, I took Bella down to the beach and it was just very nice, extremely windy. But then within the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, it got stormy again, heavy hail, and lost power.
Yeah, I know for people who don't, Bella is Tom's dog, and he oftentimes hikes with her, takes her to the beach on Whidbey Island. And so just over 30 minutes ago, the world looked one way out the window, and now it's completely different. And that's the way these storms tend to work in the springtime here in Washington. We're kind of used to this, but when they hit, it's still, and when they blast hard with 50-mile-per-hour gusts, which is what we had this morning, it feels like we had the potential for that, or have had the potential for that in the last 30, 40 minutes. It still gets the adrenaline going, doesn't it? I don't know that Tom can hear me still.
The rain has passed, and the hail has passed, and it's just extremely windy, and I still have no power.
Thank you, Tom. And you're without power still, right?
Correct.
Wow. Well, we'll have to find out how many people that's affecting on Whidbey Island. Tom, roughly how many people live on Whidbey Island? It's quite a long island, about 50 miles long, so quite a few people. And of course, there's the Naval Air Station on the opposite end from you, the north end. But any idea how many people live on Whidbey Island?
I don't, and you asked me that once before, and I was going to research it, and I haven't researched it yet. Sorry.
Hey, no worries. I'll tell you what, Tom, our connection is pretty poor. There's some interference with your voice. But I want to thank you very much for playing ball. I appreciate you doing this. And hopefully this is the first of many where we can share and engage this way. Janine keeps telling me she's here. I'll keep trying. Because Janine is on Vancouver Island, and very similar area, right on the Strait of Wanaka, and she's in Nanaimo, which is toward the south end of Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island, much bigger than Whidbey Island. And a lot of people don't realize this, but the southern end of Vancouver Island would actually be south of Bellingham, Washington, in terms of latitude. So let me try one more time. Janine is saying she's here. I keep putting her name in, but I get nowhere. But I'll try to invite her one more time to see what things are like up there. Oh, here comes Janine. Now I'm seeing her. Very good. All right. So Janine, you have been invited. Check things out. I'm sitting in the vehicle now, you guys, because you can hear me a lot better than before. So this is cutting out a lot of that wind noise. Hopefully we'll see Janine here shortly. Janine, you've been invited. You should see something that lets you know you've been invited. My cell phone connection is poor here, which is interesting because I've done many a scope here. Maybe the weather's affecting it. Okay, it's going to be bad audio for a moment. Janine's asking me to send again, so hang on. Things are really moving here. Okay, Janine, I've sent it again. Let's hope that gets it correct. Just look how much these skies are changing to the west-southwest. Over 700 viewers? Wow. Awesome. Thank you all for joining. So just to recap, it's been a day of storms here in the Puget Sound area. I know this audio is, so I'm going to move in just a moment, go back inside the vehicle. That's obviously looking to the west where we're now at sunset. Sunset, I believe, it's 7:32 here in Snohomish. The winds have intensified. Before this really started kicking in, my friend Tom on Whidbey Island gave me the heads up that it was hitting the fan there. It's amazing that some of these blossoms on these trees are still hanging on. overhead, passing overhead here, right on the edge of this. That might have been a utility vehicle that just passed behind me. I wouldn't be surprised if there are reports of a large number of trees down in the area. Look at this clear edge, though, you guys. Look at this. I mean, that's rough and rugged right there. Passing right overhead now. Hey, Janine. Okay, I'm going to get in the vehicle. All right.
Check out this storm we got. Oh, that's not it. There we go.
We can hear you, Janine. Tell us what it's like in Nanaimo, towards the south end of British Columbia right now.
Can you see the ocean?
I sure can. Look at those waters.
It's incredibly windy. We are getting sprayed by waves that are splashing up above this huge rock. I mean, it's just incredible. Beautiful sunset, high winds, canceled ferries between here and the mainland. We're looking out to see Vancouver here, and they canceled a number of sailings this afternoon because this is just so windy.
Okay. Janine, the connection is really poor, but it's obviously impressively choppy waters. Are you at Next Point Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear you very well. Yes, this is Neck Point Park, and it's absolutely wild out here.
Okay, we're definitely hearing you better now. So, for folks who don't know, Neck Point Park is in Nanaimo, British Columbia. And when it comes to weather systems, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and the Great Pacific Northwest are very much connected. So, similar weather pattern, obviously, at the moment. Areas that the really through this area. Are you getting that same fashion cloud cover as well? You may not be very well.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, but yeah, it's just a wild windstorm here. We had thunder earlier. It's quite cold, and it's really, really whistling out here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. You got a lot of white water there as the water smacks up against the beach and the rocks there. And I don't know whether or not it's a high tide right now. That water does look like it's up.
It's not really high at all. It's probably about halfway, and I'm probably about 30 feet up, but the water's splashing up on us. Oh.
And as far as folks in your area still have power?
Yeah, you can see the people on the hill way over there.
Okay, Janine. Well, the signal's breaking right now.
Yeah,
that's... You get home. I'm still alive. Feel free to tell me that problem.
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear you very well, but I'll sign off, and I wanted to show you the storm, and we'll listen to the replay when we get home. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being a guest. Really appreciate it. Very informative. Take care. Be safe.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. So Thank you, Janine, from the Nanaimo, British Columbia, reporting live from Neck Point State, wouldn't be State Park, just Neck Point Park. Same place where Janine and I pieced together a little documentary, if you will, 1 year ago about the herring spawn that was unfolding in that area at that time with all of its wildlife activity associated with it. But it's not wildlife so much, it's weather that we're talking about right now. I'll tell you what, we're getting a bit of a reprieve for the moment. We still are likely to get some gusts, but you saw when I was showing you overhead, this edge. And I think that what really pummeled Whidbey Island and then came this way and was pummeling us just minutes ago, maybe, well, what's going to happen, you guys? This is going to be really interesting. I'll get out and show you the view, the opposite direction. But what happens is it's much darker to the east of us. We're looking west right now. But when these systems move through, they do two things. One is they pack up against, they'll meet this wall of geology that is the Cascade Mountains, and things can get really packed and sopped in that area. And so there could be such a concentration of energy. I wouldn't be surprised if we get reports of thunderstorm activity in the foothills and up into the Cascades. Maybe some of you have heard a forecast and already know if that's in the forecast. I know we had thunder in this area in the forecast down in the Puget Sound lowlands. The other thing that happens is the Cascade Mountains themselves will carve up these clouds as systems move eastward to central and eastern Washington and onto Montana, Idaho, elsewhere. And so that's called the rain shelter effect. We learned that in ninth grade when I was growing up. And the mountain ranges have that impact. So it doesn't tend to be nearly as powerful once it gets across the mountains, not nearly the precipitation. Basically, those mountain peaks oftentimes usually carve up and drain the cloud cover that comes over. Not always, but that's a very common occurrence. So I'm going to get out. It's going to be windier, not as windy as it was just minutes ago. But I just wanted to say all this now before I get out of the car so you can hear me better now than you will in just a moment. So obviously, it's clearing up as we look towards the west. But as we look towards the east-northeast right here, you can see it's pretty ominous. So all this stuff, I mean, that is something else. I mean, this is the edge of it, the primary edge of it. And then look at that. Look at that, beautiful. And it's coming up from the southwest as well. And it's right on. What we have here, guys, is we have a classic convergence zone, it seems, repeating itself from earlier today. If you aren't aware of what the Puget Sound convergence zone is, look it up on Wikipedia or elsewhere and read all about it. There's basically a line that forms separating north from south, and north of that line, usually it's just north of that line, and right along that line, you get some severe weather where other areas just a few miles away, most everywhere else is just fine. But that Puget Sound convergence zone, so often, Tom's tweeting something according to Google, Whidbey Island, ... I'll check it out when I can, Tom, thank you. It might be about the convergence zone. So anyway, what we get, this all results because of the weather coming off the Pacific Ocean. And I mentioned the Cascade Mountains. Well, we have another major mountain range in Washington State that's west of here, closer to the ocean, if you will, that also marches north and south, and those are the Olympics. And the weather systems, as they move inland off the Pacific, they'll go around to the north and to the south of the Olympic range, and then meet up on the other side. And where that happens is where you tend to occasionally have weather fireworks. And that's what we're experiencing right here, the convergence zone, because you basically have the air that's been sitting here meeting the air that's coming around the mountains. I feel like I'm going to break into an old song. But anyhow, that's basically what we're dealing with here. It's much better explained online. I am not a meteorologist, but I think you guys get the gist. So what I want to do is I want to zoom in and see these clouds a little bit better. That was it, Tom. That's where I was going to go with it. Okay, there we go. I just think this house is always dynamite with the dramatic backdrop. Sometimes we've seen the stars, a lot of times, and sometimes the moon passing over it. Just beautiful. But again, there's a jet passing overhead. But what I really want to point out is you notice, like, so basically everything's been pulling in towards us, coming from the west and from the southwest, okay? And it's all coming up this way, all kind of everything coming together here right now in this convergence zone. And out there on a clear day, we would see peaks of the Cascade Mountains. We would see Mount Baker there. But everything that was out there and everything that's been coming up the chute from down there is aimed out there against the mountains and along the Cascade Range. And so that's where there's likely to be some more snap, crackle, and pop, trees down and things of that, high winds. And yeah, that's where the action is right now. It seems, at least for this moment, things have very much dissipated. Well, they definitely have. And it's just a matter of, it wouldn't be surprising to have repeat episodes throughout the evening. We've had them earlier in the day. Earlier in the day, I was at Mukilteo at Pioneer Cemetery overlooking Puget Sound at that specific moment, looking towards Whidbey Island, but initially it was all cloud cover. And that was earlier today, early afternoon. And the hail came down so suddenly and so intensely, it stung my face. That's how, and then when I just minutes later went live, someone commented that they have a relative in Seattle who says they're experiencing snow. I get home after those live streams earlier today, and my wife says it actually not only hailed here, we had a little bit of snow. That was here in Snohomish. So it sure makes for a little bit of adrenaline and a great way to cap off a weekend, as long as everybody can stay safe. If you live in this area, be on the lookout for any downed tree branches, power lines, things of that nature, because I don't know how intense the wind speeds got in the last hour, but I'm really curious to find out. Okay, very good. Tom says that Google says there are 70,000 residents on Whidbey Island. Whidbey Island, not Wisconsin, like I said earlier today when Tom first used that shorthand. I guess I was prone to Wisconsin because I lived there briefly once upon a time. But it seemed all too obvious once he said, no, Mark, Whidbey Island. So Tom is without power on Whidbey Island, and he shares that with us because it's not uncommon, not only at Whidbey, throughout the Puget Sound area, when we have these wind events, that we have thousands of customers scattered throughout the Puget Sound area without power. Tom. All right. And what's interesting now is this stuff down here, in large part, just hasn't been moving at a fast rate. It almost looks like it's a dog head barking out towards the right there. You follow me on that? The storm barking behind it, back on the path from where it came. Tom pondering. And just like that, look at all this clear sky. And indeed, clear skies are in the forecast, according to Como Radio, who I imagine is sourcing the weather service out of the sea. Clear skies are in the forecast for tomorrow and Tuesday in this area. So that's welcome news to me anyway, and I imagine a lot of other people. All right. So it's been fun sharing the weather events of today with you, live streaming using the HAPS app while simultaneously streaming to Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and I think to Twitter as well. Let me know what you think if you'd like. Feel free to leave comments here. And if you'd like to email me, you can do so at mhorner@beyond90seconds.com. That's mhorner@beyond90seconds.com. If you live in this area, be safe out there. And I will too, right on cue, Tom. Appreciate that. Everybody else, you stay safe too, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you might be. And if you're a replay viewer, thanks so much for watching the replay. Take care, everybody. You're welcome, Tracy.